Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Billy McKinney, and I'm the mayor of the proud city of Zion, Illinois. In 2023, I sponsored a member resolution committing the city's initiative to advocate for increased federal funding to monitor and treat drinking water for PFAS. Today's webinar is a continuation of that commitment, helping connect cities in the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence River region with the resources we need to address PFAS contamination, protect public health, and improve source water quality. PFAS, or forever chemicals, have been widely used in the United States since about 1940, and it's hidden in common everyday products like fabrics, cookware, and even firefighting foam. PFAS chemicals do not degrade in the environment, and even low concentrations can have serious public health consequences, including cancer, liver and thyroid problems, and immune system suppression, among other risks. But when we know better, we do better. Local leaders and water utilities from around the country are stepping ahead up in a big way to ban toxic chemicals from production and to remove PFAS from our waterways. But we need to be realistic about the monumental challenge that lies ahead. Research shows that almost every water system in the United States has some levels of PFAS contamination. If we're going to work together and solve this problem, we need to take advantage of every resource and opportunity at our disposal, starting by holding major PFAS producers and polluters responsible for the cleanup of these toxic chemicals. Thanks to a series of 2024 court settlements, over $13.6 billion now is now available through the federal government to support public utilities as they work towards PFAS remediation. David Grossman is here from the law firm of Kelly and Grossman to tell you more about the settlement and help you determine if your city is eligible for compensation. But before we begin, I want to encourage you to hold on to your questions or drop them in the chat as we'll have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. I'll also note that today's webinar is also being recorded. And with that, please join me in welcoming our featured speaker, David Grossman. David, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate the introduction and everyone's time. Uh, I've been spending pretty much the last 2 years circling the country, going to League of Cities and Rural Water Associations, and anyone who will hear us, trying to explain about this settlement and the case that we're doing and the opportunity that it makes. There's a lot of confusing and conflicting information because things have changed over time regarding state regulations, federal regulations, what is a safe level. Now, we know really any level of PFAS is unsafe, but the regulations have changed what is permitted or what is acceptable, right? Is the are the buzzwords. So if we look at pretty much any website of any water system in the country, it'll they all universally, none of them say we do not have PFAS. Uh, Rather, what it says, carefully worded, is we're happy to announce that we have a non-detect because the water is below the level set as acceptable by the government. And it's really, although it's compliant, and I'm not suggesting otherwise, and I'm not trying to have cities come out and announce that they're not safe or that problems exist. That's not the point of this. What I'm sharing is no level is safe, and there's a way to address this problem and get help without changing any of that. So basically, a few years ago, the level of PFAS that was acceptable was lower than it is now. And it was raised in recent years federally to be acceptable levels. Now, by 2031, under the Safe Drinking Water Act, every city that has a public water system has to install specialized filtration so that they are at safe levels. And that is a slippery eel of a requirement because the safe level can change as they do over time. So I just want to highlight that for you as we talk about the opportunity. So water directors who report to mayors that they're compliant and they're at a safe level, they, they should not rely on that. Really the question is, do we have PFAS at all? And if you do, then there's funding available to help the city. Now, PFAS affects municipalities around the world in pretty much every department. We have fire departments, airports, landfills, wastewater, former military sites, industrial sites, all these different things are eligible to make claim in this case. And the case is multi-district litigation 2873 in South Carolina. Now, the reason we asked for this webinar urgently and why I'm in Alaska running around cities today is there's a deadline for a settlement. The first settlement with 4 defendants was reached, and the deadline to participate is July 31. Now, to be in that settlement, it does a lot. There's actually 3 buckets of money. So, first of all, we don't test the water the same way it was tested in the past. Like for all the water systems in America recently did UCMR5, which required 28 different PFAS tests plus lithium twice within 7 months. But there you're looking at treated, filtered water. For us, we're looking at untreated, unfiltered source water. And what there's one major difference. The second difference is we don't look at one individual test. So under UCMR5, each test stands on its own, and there's levels allowed or not allowed. For this purpose, we add them all up cumulatively in a formula. So it's very easy to qualify if the cumulative score, adding up all 28 tests, is greater than 2 parts per trillion, which is a very low number. That's like a grain of sand in an Olympic swimming pool, I'm told. So if you hit that level, then funding is available. And our law firm, what we do is we send a tester there, we collect samples, we get it to the lab, which is an EPA approved lab. So once we know the benchmark, we then submit the claim for the settlement. But participating cities actually are eligible for 2 other buckets of funding. Also, there's the special fund, which has a 10-year look back. That gives funding for any money to promote clean water. So cities, first of all, who qualify, they get the action fund, which is the payment now, followed by the special fund with a 10-year look back. And then finally, whether you qualify or not, going forward by participating and entering the baseline score, there's a 5-year go forward protection, sort of an insurance policy. And this circles back to what I mentioned in the beginning. If the levels change later, or if something happens regarding new contamination, for example, PFAS moves in unpredictable ways. Plumes move underground. And if that happens and a new contamination is detected, or again, if the regulations change, or if a city needs an alternate water source, they can come back for the next 5 years and submit for supplemental funding. So those are the 3 buckets of funding available in the National Water Settlement, which is 13.6 billion right now, and it's heavily under participated and underrepresented. There's thousands of public water systems that haven't signed up. Now, that's only one portion of the case. So when the city signs up, we file everything they're eligible for. So that's the one with the deadline. So we just stress that. And then again, there's no cost to participate. If no PFAS is found, it's still a very great thing to do because you get the 5-year of go forward protection. And if cities do not register by July 31, they lose the action fund, the special fund, and the go forward protection in the current settlement. So we encourage everyone to sign up if you haven't participated. Now, and there will be additional funding. That settlement is only for defendant manufacturers. There's additional ones that are under negotiation right now. We believe will bring additional funding this year. And then for firefighters and other parts of the city, I won't go into that today, but we're representing cities, hundreds of cities across the country for their airports and all these other utilities, wastewater, and everything. Because if you don't participate now, they're released forever. There's a common misunderstanding that I've heard this from many city attorneys that by participating, they lose the right or the ability to make claim against these manufacturers. What if something happens in the future, right? You'll be left with no opportunity. That's actually backwards thinking. The reason is at the end of a multi-district litigation, the defendants are released for any past acts. So cities that do not participate in this case cannot come in later and make a claim for something in the past, which all of this is past. So a city can participate now, get the 5 years of go forward protection, and then if there's a new event, of course they could sue. You're not releasing from some, unforeseen catastrophe. The intention here is to spread the funding to where it's needed. Right now, the burden is very unfair. The taxpayers are paying for all the cost of compliance, and it should be the polluters. And that's the point of the settlement program, is to shift the cost from the taxpayer to the polluter. So can I answer any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for David? Are there
You
any?
could
Go ahead.
also, I know I went through it quickly, and part of that's my fault because I'm catching a flight at the same time. So forgive me, but this was very important to me, so I didn't want to ask to move it. We have to spread the word before the deadline ends to as many cities that will receive it. But I'll just take a minute to tell you about some of the other parts of the case. For example, for firefighters, there's legislation pending because the PFAS is in all the gear. All the gear, firefighters. That's why firefighters were getting such high levels of cancer. AFFF foam was required for decades, and it's in all the turnout gear. So firemen have a very high rate of exposure. So we have a claim there to get all new gear, not at the city's expense, but at these manufacturers' expense. And for the airports and fire departments, that's a very serious problem because everywhere AFFF foam was used, which is every airport in America that existed between 1967 and 2003, they have huge plumes of PFAS, which cost hundreds of millions of dollars to remediate. No city could survive getting hit with every possible cleanup cost. So again, we may claim for the funding to bring the cost in from these manufacturers who, profited handsomely from this product that they knew was unsafe as back as 1960. They knew. We have all this literature that it would cause widespread cancer and damage to the environment, and they did it anyway for corporate greed, which is sadly often the story with these cases. But now we're advancing things and making change. But if cities don't sign up and accept the funding, it's kind of all for nothing. So please work with us. Yes, Mayor.
And the deadline date for signing up again, is it July
Well,
31st?
July 31. We can take clients all the way up to July 31, but it's with a little time, we would do enhanced testing and maximize the claim. As we get closer to July 31, that's going to get harder, but we will file for cities all the way up to July 31.
Okay. All right.
And David, we do have a question in the chat. When would testing take place, and is that required before applications?
So it's not, you have to have testing to apply. Every public water system did UCMR5 twice within 7 months in the last couple of years. So I can use that to register a city in the claim and then test and submit them as a supplemental claim. But when we do that, we lose the ability to make the special damages claim in the past. It's only with new full testing can we make that claim, which is great. Many cities spent tens of millions of dollars in the past decade. And to maximize the recovery, I would encourage them to sign up before July 10, July 15. By then, it's going to get harder to get the testing in and back. Not through our fault. We have an army of retired Marine engineers that we're using to go collect the samples across the country and then get it to the lab. But right now, the lab has about a 2-week turnaround time, and it's getting close. After that, we will still register the clients with any testing they have, but it's not ideal.
Okay. David, for example, the city of Waukegan filed a claim separate from the class action settlement. Do they still qualify for the settlement?
Generally, yes, and now lawyers stink with that stuff. But some cities, for example, have their own specific claim because they're suing a local defendant. For example, it's a very narrow example, and I could look it up and tell you with certainty right now. Generally, every public water system is eligible to participate in the settlement, unless so I would look at that and make double sure, but generally it's not a problem.
Okay. All right. It doesn't look like we have any other questions in the chat. I just want to take this time to thank David for joining us for this informative presentation and for the critical work that you do every day to help communities access the resources that are needed. So have
Thank
a
you.
night. And I'm going to wrap up and thank everybody for joining us today. Thank David Grossman and his team. We hope you all learned a lot during this session and to take advantage of this incredible opportunity.
Yeah, David, do you want to just mention one more time how they can get in contact with you to get onto this, just as a conclusion here?
Yes. So, will we have ability, John, to circulate a thank you letter?
Yes.
And okay, so that's what we'll do. After today.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, David. We have one more question that just came through in the chat.
Yeah.
Would there be any cost affiliated with testing prior to the applying?
Not at all. Not at all. We cover all the costs, and if there's no recovery, we never build a city. And we in fact get you back your past expense, the opposite. We don't build a city ever.
Great. And looks like we have a hand raised from Carla.
Yeah. Hello. So I had a question or two. One is we're participating in a different firefighter bunker gear class action lawsuit. How can I want to be sure that we're not precluded, like there's 2 manufacturers in that suit. Is there a process where we can find out, is this with different manufacturers? Then next question is, so my city, unfortunately, some decades ago privatized our water treatment. So does that preclude us, because we don't operate a water treatment facility, from participating?
Thank you. So I have to look at your case, the first one, to answer that question. And please follow up with email or phone call. I'll include my cell phone as well, so anyone can call me. But of course, I don't know offhand which case you're in or anything, but it's an easy answer. So whoever owns the public water system ID owns the settlement funds. So if your city privatized operation, but it's owned by the city, then the money goes to the city and the claim goes to the city. Also, if you don't have that, and the private operator delivers service, it's okay if you have any of the other parts of the case that I described. So many cities don't operate drinking water, but they have wastewater. Please sign up, because there's going to be a fund for that. There's no reason not to participate. But I'm happy to look at the specific example.
All right. We'll send you our information and start the discussion. Thank you.
Great. That's great. Thank you so much.
All right. If you need to review any of the information shared today, a recording of the webinar will be posted online shortly and shared via email to all that registered. And before we sign off, I want to encourage everyone to join us for the city's initiative 2026 U.S. Water Leaders Summit. That's November 12th in Cleveland, Ohio. Tickets will go on sale soon, so mark your calendars. And even if you can't join us in person, keep an eye out for more webinars and outline content online content from the city's initiative all year long. So thanks, everybody, and everybody have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.